James here at Matsuricon. It hasn't opened up yet. It's just minutes away, just a couple minutes. You can see my area back there. I've got the setup for the VR. I'm going to do what's called hallway usability testing. This is where you set up something in a hallway, a website or a video game or whatever, something that has a lot of foot traffic, and then people give you feedback on it. And as they give you feedback, you have the capability of making those updates in real time. Obviously, that's not possible with every kind of game feature. There are definitely some things that take a lot more time to develop than others. So, I'm probably not going to be working on anything that's going to take me the whole weekend to get done. But fairly, simple fixes, or we'll see what happens. Maybe tweaks to how the dungeons are generated, or how the enemies fight, that kind of thing. So, looking forward to that. Hopefully, I get some good feedback. One thing I have is index cards, so people can write down their features on these index cards, and hopefully, I'll be able to implement them. Also, got a little screen there that people can. Other people can spectate and watch the game while someone's playing. I've got t-shirts that I'm giving out, different sizes. They say RepNox beta tester on them, so hopefully that'll be a big thing. And yeah, I'm all set up, ready to go. I have no idea what to expect, so more updates to follow. So it is almost 1:30. I've written a couple of my own story cards. They're not really story cards, they're just feature cards with my own features on them. I'm going to start implementing them. I'm going to wait for it to get a little bit more traffic through here. Right now it's just the other exhibitors, and there's some random people that have started to load in here. So that's about what you'd expect at 1:30 on a Friday. So hopefully it'll start to pick up here pretty soon. You can't pick up the weapons that are floating in air there. That'd be pretty cool. So that's the end of the day. I've got a whole bunch of index cards here with a whole bunch of different features that I've put together from feedback from various people that have been prototyping my game. Gave out a lot of t-shirts. Hopefully I'll have some of this stuff done and working so that by the time some of these people come by again to try out the game, maybe some of the bugs will be fixed. The number one bug right now is the, let's see, I got them out of order here. Basically, the enemies are vibrating. The enemies do not look that good. It's very, very rough around the edges, so hopefully I'll get some of that fixed by tomorrow and be able to show off some improvements. So definitely the bugs are the highest priority. I'm going to try to work on those first, and then any of these feature enhancements will come later. I don't know if I'm going to have time to get to any of them by the end of the weekend because it's going to get crazy tomorrow and Sunday. So we'll see how it happens. It is now day 2 at Matsuricon. I'm working on the number 1 bug, which is enemies are vibrating. We've had a few more people give some feedback this morning. It's been pretty positive so far. Getting a little bit more foot traffic than we did yesterday. It's about 11 a.m. right now. And it'll start picking up as the day goes on. I haven't really had much of a chance to fix any of these bugs because I've been spending a lot of time giving people demos and explaining the controls of the game and that kind of thing. So that's been kind of a drag. It would have been really nice to have an additional person doing the actual demo side of it and getting the feedback, and then have someone else like sitting back and doing the coding and making the improvements. So I'm definitely learning. It's a learning experience. That's my update.
I didn't realize I released my grip. No, I was just trying to punch him. Yeah, that was bad.
Oh, Garrett, do it!
We're going to put some more like a base,
Find a show. Find what I showed today. They have like the 3 boxes. It's the Samurai versus Vikings. They have that come out this year actually. It's made by the same people who make Assassin's Creed. They had a class that
So it's the end of day 2 at Matsuricon. You can see it's starting to slow down a little bit. All the other indie game developers have left already, and there's still a lot of people left in the game room, but the game room doesn't close until about 2 a.m. Definitely not sticking around that late. Definitely seems like it's slowed down a little bit. So one of the good things, though, is that I was able to get 2 different bug cards fixed. One was the enemies vibrating, and the other one was the weapon on a dead enemy floats in midair. So I was able to fix both of those bugs. That was pretty cool. It's really hard to do the demo and do the feature enhancements both on the same computer. So it'd be nice to be able to have like one computer that's dedicated for feature enhancements and another computer that's dedicated for actually doing the demos, because I had some issues with that. I did get a ton of great feedback from people. I mean, there's just a huge stack of cards here of all kinds of feedback that people have left. So that's going really well. I think doing this hallway usability testing thing was a great way to focus on the features that people actually care about and that people, that people notice more. You definitely want a game that's stable, that works the way people expect it to, and all that good stuff. So that's it for day 2. Day 3, hopefully I'll be able to keep knocking out more bugs and get more feedback. So it's the start of the final day of Matsuricon. As you can see, not a whole lot of people in here yet because it just opened. I was able to knock out another bug this morning as I was waiting for the place to open and for my controllers to charge. So that's pretty cool. 3 bugs so far down, and working on another one right now that I think will be pretty easy to fix. I think I'll probably have it done within the next half hour or so. Hopefully people will start demoing pretty soon and start giving more feedback. You can only pick up your own weapon. How's it going? Good. So it's the day after Matsuricon. I took some time to read through some of the feedback that I had gotten and started working on this video. I've got here all the cards that were fixed. I can go through some of these. Cannot pick up a weapon dropped by an enemy. That was one thing that was fixed. Enemies are vibrating. That was actually the first one that I fixed. Weapon on dead enemy floats in air, needs to be rigid body. That was a note that I took. Yeah, they were just floating in air. Player can teleport in places which should not be possible. This was a note that I took. A lot of people were getting up in the rafters and stuff. And actually it's kind of funny because a lot of the feedback was really positive about the whole getting up in the rafters thing. And people thought it was actually really cool to be able to do that because then it's kind of like you're sneaking around, being able to jump up on the side of a wall like Spider-Man and kind of hang there. Some people thought that was pretty cool. But anyway, I went ahead and disabled it for now because it's just really buggy the way that it looked. You probably saw from the video. Body is disappearing. You might have seen in some of the videos that there was a lot of glitchiness with the body. Some that I thought that I probably fixed, but I never really had a chance to properly retest them and confirm that they were actually fixed. Swinging to do damage, the more momentum you have behind the sword, the more damage it does. And momentum has some funny way of calculating it, which is basically like its speed added up over time, basically. Dual wielding was one, and also having the enemy focus on whichever sword was nearest to the enemy. The enemy would only focus on one of the two swords. So you could just hide one of the swords behind your back and the enemy would try to block that sword, but then you could just hit him in the head with the other arm. I had to change that to make it so that the enemy always focuses on the sword that's nearest to him. I need to take a little bit more extreme measures on that one. Enemy stops attacking when you drop the sword. That was a pretty bad bug. I didn't realize that that would happen, but I think I made a change that would fix this, but I never really had a chance to properly test it. It's a little bit hard to convince people in VR, hey, someone's fighting you, now intentionally drop your sword out of the ground and then just stand there and see if he attacks you or not. So people tend to not like to do that. Plus, I have a whole bunch of other features that I wanted to implement at some point but didn't get around to. Some of these are more long-term ideas. Player clipping through walls. You know, there's going to have to be a bigger feature to kind of prevent that from being an issue because you're always going to be able to clip through walls. So I've got to prevent that somehow. I've got to be creative about it. Enemies walk through walls. Not really sure why that's happening. I think it might be a problem with the nav grid generation, so I'll have to look into that. Need ability to take damage and die. Obviously, I do have a main menu, but I just didn't make it so that the player could take damage. It would be tough because I'm going to have to set up colliders all over the body and everything, and there's easy ways to do it, but I always do it manually. Anyway, add torches that you can hold. Yep, a lot of people asked for torches. More weapons, loot, make it easier to pick up weapons and other items. A lot of people had trouble picking up items, especially off the ground. I had learned that the controls were really difficult for people to follow. Especially people who have never been in a VR before. Enemies should notice the player more realistically. A lot of people were saying, hey, you know, I'm standing right here and he doesn't notice me. Reorient the hands to the controllers. It was a little weird. The hand was here and then the controller was actually out here. So that seemed kind of weird. I would have expected the hand to be here if the controller's here. So it's just a matter of tweaking. Not something I've really gotten the time to do. Bash enemy with objects. A lot of people were picking stuff up off the tables like the books and the jars and trying to throw them at enemies. I think I got a couple clips of that. Highlight objects when they can be picked up. Sparks when hitting armor or the sword. Different weak spots on enemies instead of just the head. Sound effects. Tables and chairs, make those rigid bodies, make more things destructible. There's another one for wall clipping. Use buckets and jars as weapons. That's a really good one. And just there's so many others. I mean, it would take me forever to go through all this. So the bottom line is it's all fantastic stuff. So that's it. That's the ending.
Hope you enjoyed this recap, and hopefully you'll be hearing from me more soon.